Okay guys, I've got an intense story to share. Mom, if you're watching this, go ahead and hit pause right now and fast forward to the next section. So I was riding my moped in Bali one evening when there was a really slow car directly in front of me. Now it's common in these instances to go ahead and overtake the car from the side of the road where there's more space to overtake. And after ensuring there was no oncoming traffic in the other lane, I started to speed up in order to overtake the car. Now, my heart stopped as soon as I started to do that because in my blind spot, directly in front of the car, in the middle of the lane, there was another scooter parked there waiting to take a turn. This scooter was right in front of me and there wasn't enough time to avoid or brake. And so I knew a collision was coming and I braced for the worst. The scooter passengers in front of me even let out a blood-curdling scream that I can still hear to this day. We all braced for impact and I repeated inside me, please, please, please don't let this be bad, as I pumped on the brakes with futility. And the next thing I know, I hear a little click and my eyes open to see that I'm passing by on this scooter's left side. I have no idea how I ended up in this position, and I'm just feeling the fresh air all around me, knowing that a collision had been averted somehow. I still, to this day, I don't know how the math of this worked out. All I knew was I was headed in for that car, or for that scooter. They screamed, and the next thing I know, I hear a click, and I'm just flying freely off forward in the road. All I could do was thank God over and over that nobody was hurt in this, not me, not them. I learned an important lesson that day. Slow down. Nothing good ever comes from rushing. In fact, we get in the way of our own progress when we rush things, and we may even hurt ourselves or others in the process. So today I'm going to talk about the art of patience and the importance of slowing things down, sometimes in order to speed things up. And I'm going to do so from a peaceful corner of the world that has forced me to slow down, a scenic farming village on the outskirts of an ancient city called Belluno, once inhabited by the Celts before the Romans conquered the land. Here I'm spending a couple of weeks enjoying the beauty of this land, and I'm also herding goats, farming tomatoes, and making cheese. Yeah, I'm living out my farm life dreams right now. So come on in and let's get started on this topic. To get to Belluno from Verona, you drive towards the mountains. I've always felt drawn to the mountains. They have existed for millions of years and they're going to continue to exist far after we have transitioned. The mountains' soaring presence and magnificent sights, they have a way of humbling us, don't they? Yet instead of making us feel small and insignificant, mountains have the opposite effect. They fill us with awe. They stun us with peace and wonder. And for a moment, our thoughts are paused. And we marvel at every soaring peak, the shadows of light and dark bouncing off the crags, and the gentle, sloping valleys before us. I imagine this is what it might feel like to be in the presence of God, humbled, filled with awe, peace, and joy. Of course, at a much more different and grand magnitude. Maybe this is why so many saints and spiritual leaders and prophets are drawn to the mountains. Here, the people also seem more attuned with nature. I've noticed that they're kinder here than the cities that I spent my last few weeks in. More smiles, more helpful gestures, more inquisitiveness. Where are you from, they ask. What brings you here? You don't see too many tourists here. What are you doing here? In the big city, life moves fast. The slick concrete, strobes of flashing lights, speeding cars, scooters, buses, stampede of shoes clicking and clacking up and down the hard pavement all day long. Here, the more I stare at the mountains, the more I become like the mountain, unhurried, unrushed, immovable in conviction, focused Entire landscapes, bodies of water, weather patterns, and civilizations are shaped by mountains. Rivers flow through it. Farms are irrigated and nourished by it. People travel through its rivers and roads and passes, and nations are protected by it, and their destinies are shaped by it, while they simply stand firm, watching over all of this. The dynamic cycles of life flow through and around it. They are the constant in the midst of constant change. They do nothing, and yet they have everything done through them. This is the virtue of patient unfolding. I'm learning to be still and yet have everything done. This is how the ancient Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu described the achievements of the greatest saints. And all this makes me wonder, how can I become more like the mountain, doing nothing and yet having everything done through me? I arrived in Belluno not knowing what to expect. Honestly, it was a completely last-minute Airbnb booking that looked interesting as it's an active farm at the doorstep of the Dolomite Mountains, just 60 miles north of Venice. As I pulled into the driveway of this farm, I immediately knew this was going to be special. I was befriended by Shivu and Rebus, the resident shepherd dogs, who began to show me around the sprawling grounds. And after some time enjoying the landscape, I got to participate in what I came for: daily farm activities. Imagine for a moment that somebody plants a seed in the soil with great hope that the seed will emerge as a thriving plant, flourishing with fruit. And then the very next day, this person unearths the seed to examine its progress. Is this productive? Of course not. Think of this seed as a great dream that you have. The soil, the water, and the sunshine are all the ingredients that surround this dream to bring it into fruition. There's your part, which is the planting and to some extent the watering, the nurturing. These are the human footsteps that you get to take in order to make your dreams a reality. And then there's the part that you leave to nature, universe, or God. This is beyond your control. This requires patience. In fact, if I was to define patience, it would be this: patience is faith in action. It's not passive. It's an active process of trusting, an active affirming of what is possible and what is forthcoming. In the words of Apostle Paul in his letter to the Hebrews, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Note the words substance and evidence. These are tangible things, not hopey wishiness. No matter what the circumstances, take heart that if a dream is fully aligned with your soul's purpose, it's divinely ordained to come into fruition. Nothing can stop its emergence. So have faith, trust in the process of unfolding. Actually, there is one thing that can stop its emergence, and that's your own self-sabotage. And the greatest self-sabotage is to get discouraged when you don't see progress and doubt starts to creep in. Doubt and discouragement are some of the greatest tools of the devil. So what's something that you're currently waiting on? A loving partnership, a promotion perhaps, a big breakthrough in business, an investment to yield returns? The waiting can feel agonizing at times, I know this, but can you look at patience as trust? Trust in the perfect timing of divine love, divine timing that is designed for your highest good. We don't know all that needs to line up in the seen and the unseen realms in order for us to materialize that which we are patiently waiting for. Now, if we try to force an outcome sooner by forcefully intervening, right, getting in the way and trying to make it happen on our own will, we may cause a disruption in the natural process of the unfolding. Like digging up a seed too soon, we might be disrupting what is harmonizing the perfect unfolding of this dream's trajectory. Scriptures reminds us that there is a path that seems right to man, but its end leads to destruction. And also, blessings that come from God brings wealth with no sorrow attached to it. So there's our timing, which is us trying to get in the way of a divine unfolding, and then there's blessings that come from God that brings with it wealth with no sorrow attached to it. Do you see the difference? Impatience is another way of saying, I don't trust you, God. I trust only in my physical efforts. It comes from a place of anxious attachment to the outcome. This energy, by the way, is not in alignment with the spiritual truth, which is this: if it's meant for you, then it's already yours. See, the vision that you have is there for a reason. That vision that you're seeing of the end state, the goal, it's there for a reason. It's a preview of what already is. It's a hint of what has already happened. In my last video, we talked about there being the past, the present, and the future already all having happened, right? On a time sandwich. You are previewing that which already is in that time sandwich. The oak tree seed was designed to become an oak tree well before it was planted. The seed only ever knew itself to be a grand oak tree. And after many, many seasons, it revealed itself just as that, a majestic, grand oak tree. The oak tree never thought for a second, I'm destined to become a weed, or I'm destined to become a rose. No. It only knew its highest purpose, and it revealed it through slow but steady growth. In the same way, we get to know that our inspired goal is already completed, and through our faith, we demonstrate it. Now, sometimes the demonstration is instantaneous, and that's amazing when that happens, right? Other times we get to be okay with slow and steady progress. Now, cooking is one of my favorite hobbies, and it's been so great using the fresh ingredients that I'm finding here on the farm. And because cooking is such a hobby of mine, I know that one of the most important ingredients is one that you can't find in the grocery store. It's not something that I can find here on the farm. It's time. I gotta let all the flavors marinate in together. While being on this farm, I've been blessed to have the opportunity to make some cheese from scratch, from fresh milk that we're procuring from the cows. I've also had the opportunity to bring in wonderful ingredients from all around me. And I know that time is one of the most precious ingredients because it allows all these other ingredients to mature in their flavors as they come together as marinades or as they come together in the fermentation process of the cheese. Time reveals the fullness of food's flavor. One of the beauties of being on a beautiful farm like this is the fresh ingredients. Over here we've got some lovely sage, and we've got a big rosemary bush over here, and I've been given the permission to pick these by the farmer here. And when you're putting these together in a nice white wine garlic sauce that is going to be used to braise some ribs with that I'm going to be making for dinner. So hopefully you'll be able to see the end result of that. I can't wait to get into it. Take a look at this beautiful marinade that is going to grow all over our ribs. I wish you could smell this aroma. And right now we are cooking. Look at that. Ooh, beautiful. Got the white wine reduction coming through. Let the flavors marinate well, give it some time, and you'll arrive at a beautiful conclusion. Cheers. Think of a time when you rushed a decision. Perhaps you rushed into a decision that you later regretted, right? This could be rushing into a job or a relationship, and maybe you felt trapped afterwards. Maybe you felt regret afterwards for having gone in too quickly. At the time, it felt like the safe thing to do. But when we rush, we miss out on all the cues that tell us, hey, wait, there actually might be a better way. Or look, there's a beautiful road here that you could have taken to a more aligned destination, but in your rushing, you missed it. And now you have to spend time backtracking or taking a detour when you realize you're on the wrong road? So did you really save time after all? No. And you likely added anxiousness into your life as a result of the rush and the detour. There's a saying in the Navy SEALs that was adopted from judo, and it goes something like this: slow is smooth, and smooth is fast. I'm guilty of not having heeded this advice. I've rushed into so many big decisions because it helped me feel like I was doing something, right? I made a decision. It means I'm making progress. Or I accepted a breadcrumb in order to fill my belly at the time when I was hungry, when a whole loaf was waiting for me, if only I had just waited. And I'm ashamed to say it, but I also manifested speeding tickets from the 3 states all around my house, because how we do one thing is how we do all things, and this was an indication to me that I have been rushing. Here's the paradox of rushing. You gain speed, but you get sloppy. Your movements are fast, but they're more erratic. They are less thoughtful, and they open the door for stress to keep in. You end up paying a bigger price than you gain, both in the outcomes and the quality of the work that you're doing, and in your mental and physical health. Now you might say, but Samir, in your last video you said progress is the law of God. I'm just trying to make progress, but faster. Rushing is not making harmonious progress. You might feel like you're making progress in the moment, but are you really moving in the right direction? See, look at hamsters, right? They go ham on the hamster wheel, but do they really go anywhere? No, they're running in circles. Don't be like the hamster. As you create and as you wait for the reaping of the harvest, do so with joy. The Old Testament reminds us that God's creation of the world was an act of great joy. Now, the irony of all this is that we think that when we achieve the thing or get the thing or get that grand prize, finally we will be at peace and we will be able to relax. So we get anxious when we don't get that thing. Now, inner peace is the only disposition that creates more peace. There's nothing else. Peace creates peace. If you're rushing to get something in order to get peace, because that's what all human beings desire, right? Peace, joy, relaxation. If you're rushing to get to peace, that's a paradox. It can't create peace, because a rush state will only create more rush state. Again, a rush state is acting from a place of lack of. Inner peace is the only disposition that creates more peace. All right, so let's get into some solutions to rushing. Starting with the first one, stop hustling. When you do feel rushed, you get to ask yourself, who is pushing me? It's likely that you're putting pressure on yourself, and it's likely that your ego is driving you towards certain outcomes or certain deadlines or certain deliverables that aren't quite aligned with your highest good. I've banned the word hustle from my vocabulary because it conveys a sense of breathlessness, right? Breathlessness in a state of hustle, shallow breath. I mean, this is connected with not having life in your lungs. What great work is performed under a hustling, breathless state? Since I'm in Italy, I'll use an example. It's a bit of an elegant example in contrast to the farm that I'm in right now. But imagine Michelangelo carving his masterpiece of David or painting the beautiful Sistine Chapel in a state of hustle. Would this be possible? No, absolutely not. It would not be possible. See, Michelangelo's process was one of methodical intentionality. In a slab of marble, he saw the potential of David's image and likeness. And on a blank canvas of the Sistine Chapel roof, he saw the hand of God reaching out to man. Then with deliberate and precise movement over years and years, he revealed his heavenly vision on the Sistine Chapel and of course the image of Michelangelo's David that is so famous today. When I feel rushed and on a timeline, I like to take a step back and look at the bigger picture. History doesn't care if I finish something today or tomorrow. It won't remember what day or hour I published or launched something. but what it will remember is if it was done well and if it was done with integrity. I like to look at time as one long day. With this perspective, where am I rushing to? Who am I rushing for? And for what reason am I rushing? It's one long day. This is not to say become a slacker or a procrastinator or that you get to pass on the deadlines that you have already committed to. No. All of these things are connected to your sense of integrity. What I am saying is, can you shift your perspective so that you add more harmony, joy, and ease as you set out to achieve your goals? This is how God works and achieves. And I don't know, it's been said that God even rested on the seventh day. Being on a farm has enabled me to observe lessons from nature's timing. If you want a mango from your own mango tree, it's going to take you 3 to 5 years after planting to reap your fresh, juicy mango. The elegant Chinese bamboo tree, it remains dormant for 5 years after you plant the seed, during which they need to be watered, nurtured daily. But once it breaks through the ground, it can grow up to 90 feet tall in just 5 weeks. It's like a coiled spring waiting to burst through the ground. Now imagine if you gave up on that seed 4 years and 11 months after seeing no results. People would have probably been like, yeah, it's a failed seed. But 1 more month later, and boom, you would have never known how great and how fast this thing could have grown, right? Again, this is a metaphor for perhaps your own business, for all the daily content or weekly content that you're posting. You never know which one is gonna drive the result. Some of our greatest dreams are like the bamboo seed. They need time, they need care, they need attention. And then boom, at the right time, it cannot be stopped. I had a good friend of mine who started a Instagram channel last year. And for a few months, he saw no results. And after 2 years of dedicated work, daily quality work, he now has hundreds of thousands of people looking at his work, being inspired by his work. It was a commitment to consistent and daily quality, even those days where nothing happened, starting from zero and going to hundreds of thousands and having prominent people from all over the world reach out. That is the power of staying true to what you know is your destiny, what you know is your outcome. Have patience, do not rush, stay the course, and await the unfolding of something incredible. Know that success is already yours. There's bugs everywhere right now, getting on my nose. Ooh.